Welcome to Marriott MBA Today. I'm Nathan Tanner, and today we're here with Boubacar Barry. Thank you for joining us, Boubacar.
My pleasure.
Good to have you. So Boubacar is a first-year MBA student. He is from Guinea, has spent a lot of time consulting both here in the States and internationally, and he's focusing on OBHR, and this summer has an internship with GE Healthcare in their HR leadership program. So he has had a pretty interesting background. So let's start with your childhood.
Yeah, like you said, I am from Guinea. It's on the west coast of Africa, a French-speaking country. And I was born crippled, actually, and that's what brought me to the United States. I came over when I was about 3 years old, had surgery on my leg, and stayed with a foster family until I was about 11 years old. And then I went back to Africa.
Okay. So you've spent a lot of time then in the States and in Guinea.
Correct.
Can you contrast the two and the experiences you had there?
Yeah, it's a little different world. I remember when I first went back to Africa, for the first week and a half I was there when I was about 11, there's no power, no water, and that's very different from being here in the United States where I had power, water, everything all the time. It's a different world also, the fact that, here in Utah I was the only black kid, and I went back to Africa and realized I was with family, people that knew me and they were black also. But they were all Muslim compared to me being an LDS person. Mm-hmm. But I had a great time in Africa. I learned a lot. I learned to really love people and to get along with things that are simple.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you enjoyed being in Guinea that maybe us in the States don't get to experience as much?
Well, one of the first things is actually learning a new language. Here I spoke English. I had to go back to Africa and learn French quickly. But on top of that, I also had to learn my tribal language, Fulani, to be able to communicate with my grandparents and other relatives who didn't speak French. And that's one thing I like about Africa is that people speak many different languages. And that instilled in me a love of languages that carries on to today, to the point that I speak 4 languages now.
Great. So you came back to the U.S. to finish high school.
Correct.
Went to BYU, served a mission. Yeah. Tell us more about what you did after that.
Yeah, well, I came back to BYU, got my degree in communications, and then went to Georgia for a year and worked there for a year. And I really wanted to go back home. I wanted to see if I could go back to Africa and help the people out there. So after a year in Georgia, I went back to Africa and I tried to work there for a while. I had my own consulting firm where I was consulting with the World Bank and other large organizations, helping them with English translations and also with implementing some of their projects that they were trying to do there.
Yeah. How was it being back in Guinea this time as a consultant? Much different than just growing up there.
It was great being home with family and seeing people again, but it was also very difficult. A lot of people viewed me as an outsider for a while. Some people were afraid of me because of my college degree, and so there are a lot of people that tried to block me and impede me from accomplishing some of my goals. I had a lot of great projects that I wanted to try to do that were eventually stolen because they didn't want me to be a part of that. Yeah. But it was great working with some of the people who wanted to make change happen in Africa. And it was a fun time, but also very scary. While I was there, Nathan, we actually had a lot of riots going on. And for a while, there was a thought of having a coup. And a lot of this happened right in front of my house, where we had the burning tires, people getting shot, people getting macheted in front of us. It was a scary time.
Yeah, that would be incredibly scary.
Yeah.
So then after that, you came back to the U.S. and did some HR consulting. How did that come about, and how was that experience?
Oh, it was a great experience. Being in Africa, I knew I wanted to change, and I knew that to make change happen had to happen with the people. But right then and there, I couldn't make it happen. So I came back to the United States and got a job eventually with a consulting firm that's local here, and they do HR and leadership development training. And while working with them, I really started to understand what HR really is, mm-hmm. and how you can work with people and help them to create the environments that are needed for change to happen. And so it's not just one person changing, but it's a whole system and a whole group of people that are changing. And that really inspired me wanting to go about and to learn more about how to make change happen in organizations, in people, and to really help youth learn leadership training programs.
Awesome. So then you came to BYU. How did you decide on BYU, and why did you feel that an MBA was necessary?
Well, I knew that the MBA would open up many doors for me to allow me to get the face-to-face I needed with the people that could make the decisions, and also to give me the tools I needed to be able to go forth and to help these youth and these countries to change. Why BYU? Well, Cougar Blue all the way, did my undergrad here, but also BYU just has a great OBHR program. And I knew that I would be able to get in and get into a great network of people who have already gone ahead of me, who have forged the path, who know how to make the connections, and I wanted to be part of that network, and so I chose to come to BYU.
Yeah. BYU does have a strong reputation in OBHR. Yes. How have you found that helpful, or what has been your experience there?
You know, I've loved it here. After the first semester, meeting so many different people, not just the students that are here and the first and second years, but also the alumni. They have all been very helpful with me and have really put me on a great path. I've contacted a lot of people that want to help me in the future with some of my ideas I want to do with Africa, and they've helped me get my internship. But it's just, the network is just so great, and the people that are here, they're really in the forefront of OBHR. They know what HR is, they know how it needs to change to really be effective within an organization.
Yeah. And you have some pretty audacious goals long term. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I view myself as a bridge. When people view me and they hear my voice, they view me as one of their own, most of the Western people. As Africans, a lot of them view me as one of their own as well. I speak the language, I can communicate with them, and I understand the culture. And as someone who understands both the American culture and the African culture, I believe that I'm a bridge to help companies that want to invest in Africa get the most out of their investments. And at the same time, helping the people in Africa get the most out of the people that are investing in them so that they're not really being used. And so that it's a win-win situation for both sides. And I believe that I'm a bridge that can help both sides get what they want. And in the end, help Africa develop and give the people there the training that they need to really lift themselves out of poverty. And so that they're no longer standing there for handouts, but actually doing things on their own to become part of the world economy.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Boubacar. We wish you the best in achieving all of those things.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of Marriott MBA Today.